right, strap in, everyone, because today we're going deep, like really deep. We're tackling non-dualism.
Oh, yeah?
It might sound a little intimidating at first,
Right.
but you know what? You actually requested we take this deep dive.
I love it.
So thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah.
You sent over this fascinating excerpt from a text simply called, well, pasted text.
Okay.
And it dives into this whole concept of non-dualism, the idea that we're all interconnected.
Yeah, it's a heady one.
But I think it can also be really beautiful and inspiring, especially when we think about how it can help us live a more peaceful and fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
Luckily, we've got our expert here to break it all down for us and guide us through the labyrinth, the interconnectedness.
Happy to be here.
So let's kick things off with the basics, all right? We all experience the world as this collection of separate things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me, you, the microphone, the coffee cup. Everything's kind of like its own little island.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically duality. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's the idea that we're all distinct and independent entities.
Like bumper cars.
Haha, yeah, kind of like that, bouncing around.
But non-dualism swoops in and basically says, hold on a second. What if that's not the whole story?
Right.
What if this sense of separation, the me versus you and all that, is actually just an illusion?
Yeah.
Like at the deepest level, everything is interconnected, interwoven into this unified reality.
One big cosmic tapestry.
Whoa. Okay, I'm already feeling my brain stretch a little.
Right.
But if it's an illusion, why do we experience it so strongly? I mean, it sure feels real to me.
Well, that's where Maya comes in.
Maya.
Yeah, in Advaita Vedanta, which is a school of Hindu philosophy, Maya is like this veil of illusion that obscures the true nature of reality.
Okay, so like a magic trick.
Exactly. You get so caught up in the spectacle, the smoke and mirrors, you forget that it's not real.
That it's all just a carefully constructed illusion. Yep. So basically, Maya is what's making us think we're separate, when, according to non-dualism, we're actually all just grooving together in this one big cosmic dance party.
Got it.
And isn't this idea, this whole interconnectedness thing popping up in other spiritual traditions too?
Oh, absolutely. It's a common thread you find woven through various traditions.
Cool.
Advaita Vedanta and Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, even Sufism and Islam.
Wow, so it's like this universal whisper, this ancient wisdom that keeps resurfacing.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, but if we're all connected, what are we all connected to? Like, what's the glue holding this whole cosmic dance party together?
Well, in Advaita Vedanta, that ultimate reality, the glue, you could say, is called Brahman.
Brahman.
It's the infinite, unchanging essence of the universe.
So like the source code.
In a way, yeah.
The cosmic operating system.
You could say that.
So then where do we fit into all of this? Are we like little pixels on the Brahman screen?
Well, it's even more radical than that.
Oh boy, here we go.
Right. Advaita Vedanta says that our individual soul, our Atman, isn't actually separate from Brahman at all.
Wait, what?
It's like realizing that a wave isn't separate from the ocean. It is the ocean. Just a temporary expression of it.
Okay, hold on. Let me process this for a sec.
Take your time.
So you're saying that deep down, my essence, my true self, is like the same stuff as the ultimate reality of the universe.
That's the core insight. Yeah.
That's a lot to take in.
It is.
But it's also kind of mind-blowing.
It really shifts your perspective, doesn't it?
Totally. It's like, whoa, what does this mean for everything?
Right.
So if we dig a little deeper here, how does this whole non-duality thing change the way we look at things like, good and evil?
Oh, that's a great question.
Light and dark.
Yeah, because in our everyday experience, those seem like pretty distinct opposites, right?
Sure.
Duality makes us see the world in black and white.
Yeah.
But non-dualism, it invites us to zoom out a little bit to see the bigger picture. Instead of separate opposites, these concepts become two sides of the same coin. Light can't exist without darkness.
Right.
And good deeds wouldn't even have meaning without the concept of bad.
So it's not like they're like battling it out.
No.
It's more like they're dancing together, creating this this whole intricate pattern.
It's all part of this interconnected dance.
I love that, the interconnected dance.
It's this magnificent interplay of, everything.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could really change things.
Yeah.
But if everything is ultimately one, then, like, how do our individual actions even factor in? Does anything we do even really matter?
It's a question that comes up a lot, and it's important.
For sure.
Because it gets to the heart of how we actually, live this understanding? How do we integrate this into our lives? It's not that our individual actions don't matter.
Okay.
Imagine a still pond, nice and calm.
Yeah, I'm picturing it.
Now toss a pebble into it.
Okay, plop, right in the middle.
What happens?
Ripples.
Yay.
Spreading out from where the pebble hit the water.
Exactly. Even though those ripples eventually disappear.
Get absorbed back into the pond.
Yeah. They still made an impact. They changed things, even if just for a little while.
Right.
In the same way, our actions create ripples in this interconnected fabric of reality.
So it's not about saying that what we do doesn't have consequences.
No, not at all.
It's more about understanding that those consequences are playing out within this larger interconnected reality.
Precisely, like we're all part of this big cosmic pond.
That's a helpful way to think about it, for sure.
Yeah.
But how do we actually experience this interconnectedness? Not just think about it, but actually feel it, sense it.
Well, the text you sent over really focuses on the practice of self-inquiry.
Self-inquiry.
Yeah.
So that's where you ask yourself, who am I?
Right.
Right. But how does simply asking that question connect us to this greater unity?
Well, it might seem simple, but it can be really profound. Think of it like peeling back the layers of an onion.
I like that analogy.
You start with the most obvious stuff, right? Your name, your job, your likes and dislikes.
The surface stuff.
But you keep going deeper, asking, who am I? Beyond those labels, beyond those roles.
Like peeling away the masks we wear.
Exactly, until you get to the core, the essence of who you really are.
And what's there? At the core, I mean.
Well, what you discover is that your true self isn't bound by any of those labels. It's not limited to your thoughts, your emotions, or even your physical body.
Ooh.
It's pure awareness, pure consciousness, the same awareness that animates all beings.
So we're all sharing the same cosmic Wi-Fi.
Uh-huh. I like that. Yeah, the same source of consciousness.
That's wild.
It is, and that's the essence of non-dualism, recognizing that fundamental unity beneath all the surface differences.
Okay, so self-inquiry helps us dismantle the ego, that part of us that's so attached to being a separate self.
Yeah, it helps us see through that illusion.
It's like taking off a pair of blurry glasses.
Yeah.
And finally seeing the world in sharp focus.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's one path. But I'm guessing there are other ways to tap into this understanding.
Absolutely, tons.
Like, what about meditation?
Oh, yeah. Meditation, mindfulness, those are key.
They help us quiet the mind.
Yeah, all that mental chatter that keeps us feeling separate and isolated.
Like turning down the volume on all those thoughts that are constantly telling us you're you and they're them.
Exactly.
And when we quiet those thoughts, we create space for something deeper to emerge.
Right. It's about experiencing that interconnectedness firsthand, not just thinking about it.
Cool. So self-inquiry, meditation, mindfulness. What else should we have in our non-duality toolkit?
Another important piece is non-attachment.
Non-attachment.
Yeah.
It's often misunderstood, though, right?
Yeah.
People think it's about becoming like emotionless robots.
Yeah. Or withdrawing from the world.
Or, giving up all your possessions and moving to a cave.
It's not about any of that.
Okay, so what is it about?
It's about letting go of clinging, of grasping onto things.
Outcomes.
Outcomes, yeah. Desires, aversions.
Because those come from a sense of, this is mine and I need to protect it.
Exactly.
Which reinforces the illusion of separation.
Yeah, it's like, if we're all interconnected, then clinging to my stuff or my way doesn't really make sense, does it?
It's like trying to hold on to a wave,
Yeah, it's constantly changing, constantly flowing.
So non-attachment is about recognizing that everything is impermanent and finding freedom in that.
Exactly. It's about embracing the flow of life.
Okay, this is all fascinating.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've been focusing mainly on Advaita Vedanta.
That's true.
You mentioned that non-dualism pops up in other traditions too, right?
Yeah.
How do those pieces fit into the puzzle?
It's like this golden thread.
Oh, I like that. A golden thread.
That weaves its way through all these different spiritual traditions.
So where else can we find this thread shining through?
Well, in Buddhism, for instance, there's this concept of sunyata. Yeah, it's often translated as emptiness.
Emptiness.
Which, it can sound kind of bleak, but it's actually quite profound.
I can imagine.
It's not about things not existing.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's more about understanding that everything lacks inherent independent existence.
So, things aren't as solid and separate as we think they are.
Exactly. They're more like temporary expressions of this interconnected web.
So they're constantly arising and dissolving.
Yeah, depending on conditions.
Okay, I could see how that connects to the whole non-duality thing.
Right, it's all about seeing through that illusion of solidity and separateness.
And that's what leads to liberation.
To nirvana, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
What about Taoism? Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, the yin and yang, right.
Yeah, Taoism is all about aligning with the Tao, which is like the underlying principle of all existence.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that everything is interconnected, you know?
The constant flow and change.
Exactly, the interplay of yin and yang, those two forces that are always intertwined.
Yeah, the yin and yang symbol, that's
Yeah.
like a perfect visual representation of non-dualism, isn't it?
It is.
Like those two swirling forces, they seem opposite, but they're actually always connected. They can't exist without each other.
You can't have one without the other.
And what about Islam? Does this oneness thing resonate there too?
Definitely, especially within Sufism.
Sufism.
Yeah, it's the mystical branch of Islam.
Okay.
And they emphasize the dissolution of the ego, the merging with the divine, which they call Allah.
So again, it's about transcending that sense of separation to experience a deeper connection.
Exactly.
This time it's a connection with the divine.
Yeah, it's amazing how this idea of non-duality shows up in so many different ways, isn't it?
Totally. It's like this universal language speaking to something deep within us.
Yeah, I think so.
But how does all of this ancient wisdom relate to us today? You know, what's in it for us non-mystics trying to navigate the 21st century?
That's what we'll get into next.
All right, can't wait to keep going.
Hey.
We'll be back after a short break.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork here.
Yeah.
Non-dualism, this big idea that everything's interconnected and
Yeah.
that our sense of separation is really an illusion.
Right, right.
But how does that actually translate into living a better life? Like, what are the practical benefits of adopting this perspective?
Well, for one thing, it can bring about a profound sense of inner peace.
Inner peace, yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, so much of our stress and anxiety comes from this feeling of being a separate self, right?
Yeah, constantly struggling, striving.
Exactly, struggling to get what we want.
To avoid what we don't want.
Yeah, always
It's-
trying to control things.
Right, right.
But non-dualism helps us let go of that struggle a bit, to see ourselves as part of something much larger.
To surrender to the flow a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of constantly trying to swim upstream.
I love that analogy.
So inner peace, that's a big one. What else, what other benefits might we experience?
Well, another biggie is compassion.
Compassionate.
When you really understand that we're all interconnected,
Yeah.
that every being is a part of this larger whole, it naturally cultivates compassion and empathy.
Because harming someone else is essentially harming ourselves.
Yeah, it's like hurting your own body.
Right.
You know, we're all part of the same organism, so to speak.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
It is. It breaks down those barriers between us and them.
Yeah.
Allows us to see the shared humanity in everyone.
Even those we might disagree with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even those we might consider different or even dislike.
It's like that saying, love your enemies.
Right.
But taking it to a whole other level.
A deeper level, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we've got inner peace. We've got compassion. This is already sounding pretty good.
Right.
Anything else?
Well, this one's a big one. Freedom from suffering.
Freedom from suffering.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that non-dualism means we'll never experience difficult emotions.
Right. Life still happens.
Life still happens, exactly.
Challenges, heartbreaks.
Yeah, all of that. But it does mean that we can learn to relate to those experiences differently.
To not get so caught up in them.
Right. So instead of getting stuck in the story of why me or this isn't fair.
The blame game.
Yeah, the blame game. We can see those experiences with more clarity, more acceptance.
Like a place.
Exactly. A lot of our suffering comes from clinging
to how we think things should be.
Yeah, clinging to our desires, our aversions, our ideas about how things should be.
Right.
Non-dualism helps us loosen our grip a bit.
Okay.
To recognize the impermanent nature of everything.
That everything's constantly changing.
Including our thoughts and emotions.
It's a tough one to remember sometimes.
It is. It takes practice.
But doesn't this idea of non-attachment make us passive?
Ooh, good question.
Like, if everything is already one, what's the point of, striving for anything?
Right.
Or trying to make a difference in the world?
It's a common misconception.
Okay.
Non-attachment, it doesn't mean becoming indifferent or inactive.
It's not about checking out of life.
No, not at all. It's about It's about engaging with the world, but from a different place.
From a place of, like, clarity.
Clarity, yeah, freedom, rather than being driven uh, by our ego's desires and fears.
So it's like, we're still participating, we're still playing the game,
Yeah.
but we're not so attached to winning or losing.
Exactly. We're more focused on playing the game well.
On being present, on enjoying the process.
Yeah, and that actually allows us to be more effective, more skillful in our actions.
Because we're not so bogged down by all that mental baggage.
Exactly.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense.
Good.
So non-dualism, it can bring inner peace, compassion, freedom from suffering, and a greater ability to adapt to life's challenges.
Yeah, it's like having a more flexible mindset, you know?
Yeah, like a willow tree in the wind.
Oh, I like that.
It bends, it sways.
Yeah.
But it doesn't break.
Exactly. It goes with the flow.
Okay, I'm really starting to see the appeal of this whole non-dualism thing.
I'm glad.
But there's still this one nagging question in my mind.
Okay, what's that?
If everything is already one, does that mean there's no such thing as individual responsibility?
That's an important question.
Well,
It's one that comes up a lot, and it's understandable because it's easy to misinterpret this idea of unity, right? To think that it somehow negates our actions or makes them meaningless.
Like, if we're all just drops in the same ocean, what difference does one drop make?
Right, but it's not like that. It's not that our actions don't matter. It's that we need to see them from a different perspective.
From a more interconnected perspective.
Exactly. So think of a forest, all right?
Okay, a forest.
Each tree in the forest is unique.
It has its own shape, its own size.
Goals history, yeah. But ultimately, it's still part of the forest ecosystem.
Right.
And what happens to one tree affects the whole forest.
So, like, if one tree gets sick,
Yeah.
it can spread to other trees.
Exactly. Or if a tree falls down.
It creates space for new growth.
Right.
Okay, I'm seeing the analogy here.
Yeah, so we're all like those trees.
Unique individual.
But still part of this larger interconnected web of life.
And our actions, they impact the whole web.
Precisely. They create ripples.
So it's not about erasing responsibility.
No.
It's about expanding it.
To encompass the whole. Yeah.
To recognize that our choices have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the entire web of life.
Exactly. So non-dualism, it doesn't diminish responsibility. It actually enhances it.
Because we're seeing the bigger picture.
Right. We're seeing that we're all in this together.
This is powerful stuff.
It is.
But it's also a lot to process.
It is. It's a big shift in perspective.
And I imagine it takes time to really integrate this understanding into our lives.
It does. It's a journey, not a destination.
Okay, so how do we even begin to walk this path?
Well, we talked earlier about practices like self-inquiry, meditation, mindfulness.
Right. Those are tools that can help us.
Yeah, they're tools that help us cultivate awareness.
To see the interconnectedness.
Exactly. And it's not just about, formal meditation sessions.
It's about bringing that awareness into our everyday lives.
Right. Noticing the interconnectedness in the smallest of things.
Like what?
Like the way sunlight dances on the leaves.
Okay.
The feeling of the breath moving in and out of your body, the connection you feel with a loved one.
Right.
These are all glimpses into the non-dual reality.
It's like those moments when you feel a sense of awe and wonder at the beauty of the world.
Yeah.
And you realize you're a part of something so much bigger than yourself.
Exactly. Those moments are precious.
And the more we pay attention to them, the more they start to permeate our everyday experience.
Right. It's like training our minds to see the world in a new way.
I love that, training our minds to see the interconnectedness.
Yeah.
This is really inspiring.
I'm glad to hear that.
But even with all the benefits we've talked about, there's still a part of me that's a little hesitant.
I understand.
Like, are there any potential downsides or challenges to embracing this perspective?
That's a good question to ask.
Because it almost sounds too good to be true.
It can be challenging.
Okay.
Like any profound philosophy, non-dualism can be challenging to integrate into our messy, complicated lives.
Right. It's not always easy to live up to these ideals.
No, it's not. And one potential pitfall is getting caught up in the intellectual side of things.
Right. Like just understanding the concepts, but not actually embodying them in our lives.
Exactly. It's going to be more than just an intellectual exercise.
It's got to be lived.
Yeah.
And I could also see how non-dualism could be misinterpreted as a form of escapism.
Oh, absolutely.
Or denial,
Yeah.
Like if you're so focused on the oneness of everything, do you start to ignore real-world problems?
Right.
Injustices.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But true non-dualism, it doesn't advocate for ignoring the world's problems. It actually invites us to engage with them.
But from a place of
from a place of compassion.
Compassion, yeah.
Understanding, wisdom.
So it's not about detaching from the world.
No.
It's about detaching from our ego's attachment to specific outcomes.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a subtle but important distinction.
It is. And when we can do that, we can actually act with greater clarity, effectiveness.
We can work towards positive change.
Yeah.
Not out of a sense of obligation or guilt, but out of a genuine desire to contribute to the well-being of the whole. This is really making me rethink my whole approach to activism, to social change.
It can be a powerful framework.
Yeah, because it's not about fighting against something.
Oh.
It's about working with the interconnectedness of everything to create a better world.
Exactly.
This has been incredibly insightful.
I'm glad you think so.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface here.
We have. There's so much more to explore.
But even this glimpse into the world of non-dualism has been mind expanding.
It's a rich and complex topic.
It is.
But ultimately, it's about remembering our interconnectedness.
Yeah, that we're all in this together.
Exactly.
Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into non-dualism.
Oh, yeah.
We've explored the concept of Maya, delved into the nature of Brahman and Atman,
right,
and looked at how this idea of oneness shows up in various spiritual traditions.
Across cultures and throughout history.
Yeah. We've also discussed the potential benefits of embracing a non-dual perspective, such as inner peace, compassion, freedom from suffering, and a greater sense of responsibility for our actions.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but like any profound concept,
it
takes time to really grasp its implications.
Right.
So before we jump into the final part of this deep dive, take a moment to reflect on what's resonated with you so far.
Yeah. What insights or questions have come up for you?
We'll be back shortly to wrap things up and explore how we can integrate this understanding into our daily lives.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I got to say, after that deep dive into non-dualism, my mind is, it's definitely buzzing.
Yeah, it's one of those concepts that really makes you question everything.
It makes you look at the world with fresh eyes,
Absolutely.
Like suddenly you're seeing connections everywhere.
Yeah, the illusion of separation starts to crumble.
So we've talked about all these benefits of embracing this non-dual perspective.
Right.
The inner peace, the compassion, the deeper sense of responsibility. But I'm curious, how do we actually integrate this understanding into our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is, because it's easy to talk about interconnectedness, but how does it actually show up in our relationships?
Yeah.
In our work.
Right.
And in our interactions with the world around us.
Well, I think the key is to cultivate a sense of presence and awareness in everything we do.
Awareness.
Yeah. It's about paying attention to the interconnectedness that's already there.
That's already there.
Even if we've been kind of overlooking it.
So instead of focusing on the ways we're separate, we start to notice the ways we're already woven together.
Exactly. It's like shifting our focus from the differences to the common ground.
To the threads that connect us.
Yeah, and this can apply to so many different areas of our lives.
Like in our relationships, for example.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Instead of seeing it as me versus you,
right.
A non-dual perspective invites us to see it as we.
Yeah, we're in this together.
We're a team.
Right. Navigating the ups and downs of life.
As a collective.
Exactly.
And I imagine that that could have a huge impact on how we approach conflicts.
Oh, for sure.
When we come from a place of understanding that we're all interconnected.
Yeah.
It becomes so much easier to approach disagreements with empathy and compassion.
It's no longer about winning or being right. It's about finding solutions that work for everyone.
It's about understanding where the other person is coming from.
Exactly.
Even if we don't agree with them.
Even if we don't agree with them, yeah.
And I bet this could also transform the way we approach our work.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Instead of just focusing on our own personal gain,
Yeah, like climbing the ladder.
the what's in it for me mentality.
Right. We start to consider the impact of our work on the wider world.
On the community.
On the community, yeah.
On the environment.
On the environment, exactly.
It's like we're shifting from a me focus to a we focus.
Yeah, and that can be incredibly motivating.
Because we're tapping into a sense of purpose that's bigger than ourselves.
It's not just about me and my little corner of the world anymore.
It's about contributing to something greater.
Exactly. It's about playing our part in this grand symphony of existence.
I love that, the grand symphony of existence.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image.
It is, and it makes me think about the environmental crisis that we're facing.
Oh, yeah.
If we could truly embrace this interconnectedness of all things,
Yeah.
wouldn't that inspire us to take better care of the planet?
Absolutely. It would be a game changer.
Because we'd see that harming the planet is ultimately harming ourselves.
Right. We're not separate from nature. We are nature.
It's like that saying,
What's that?
we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children.
Right. Right.
But from a non-dual perspective,
Yeah.
it's not even about borrowing. It's about recognizing that we're an integral part of this web of life.
Beautifully put. Yeah, we're all interconnected. We're all interdependent.
This has been incredible.
I'm glad you enjoyed
I
it.
feel like we've just scratched the surface here.
We have. There's always more to explore.
But even this little taste of non-dualism has been mind-blowing.
It's a powerful concept.
It is, and I think it's something that we can all benefit from exploring further.
I agree.
So to wrap things up,
Yeah.
I just want to say that even though non-dualism might seem like this radical, mind-boggling idea,
It can be.
it's ultimately about recognizing the profound simplicity of our interconnected existence.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
We're all part of this vast and mysterious universe, woven together by these invisible threads of relationship.
And interdependence.
And I think that's a really beautiful and hopeful message.
It is. It's a message of unity, of connection, of love.
So as we go about our day, as we interact with the world around us,
Yeah.
let's try to remember that we're not alone,
That we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
that we're all connected.
And that our actions have the power to create ripples of healing and compassion.
Throughout the entire web of life.
Exactly.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of non-dualism.
And thank you for having me.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
And that you'll continue exploring these ideas on your own.
And until next time, may your life be filled with wonder, connection, and the profound realization that we are all in this together.
Beautifully said.